How do some of these calisthenics monsters keep showing up day after day, week after week, consistently without relying on motivation? How is it that they seem to keep making progress? They seem to keep making new kind of milestones, while a lot of the rest of us are kind of just stuck on the same goals that we've been on for months, for years down the road without actually seeing any progress? What is it that they know that we don't?
Just a little context for anyone that is new to the channel. On this channel, we like to cover calisthenics from a different angle, not this discipline kind of work ethic kind of side of calisthenics, but more of a gamified way of training calisthenics so that you can actually enjoy the sport that you came in for. We also cover form, skill progressions, and necessary exercises in order to achieve our goals. So if all of that sounds interesting, click the subscribe button or press it if you're on phone, and I'm glad to have you as part of the team.
To answer this, we first need to answer why wanting something really isn't enough. You see, wanting something is just a kind of rebranded way of saying motivation. You're motivated to do something, you're motivated to go out and chase something. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard this saying, like the saying like motivation will get you started, but it won't keep you going, right? Your motivation goes up and down, up and down. It's subjective to change. If you're not feeling great, your motivation is going to be low. If you're feeling good, your motivation is going to be high. So that's why you kind of have those slopes of training where you're training, you're not training, you're training, you're not training, you're training, you're not training. And that's not reliable. We can't really make progress with that, because the progress we do make, we're losing as soon as we don't feel like it, as soon as we can't motivate ourselves or don't know how, I don't even know the words, but as soon as we can't motivate ourselves or we're in that slump. Our brains do this thing where it takes on a task that's too much for itself at the moment, and then we realize later, like, this is a big task, this is something I don't know if I can commit to, and then I get that boost of motivation again. It's an endless cycle that never ends unless you actually put a nail in the marker. Does that make sense? No. Unless you actually cut the line, unless you actually intervene and actually put out some output, unless you actually change the way that you do things, because otherwise it is just a very clean slope of 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So now we know why motivation, right? And this is explained in so many other videos, why motivation or wanting something will not get us to the goal. It really, like, there's never been a case where you've just relied on motivation, someone's just been motivated all the way and they've gotten the goal done. This moves us on to discipline. Discipline. Unbeknownst to most, oh, that's such a big word. I've never used that word before, but unbeknownst to most, discipline is a incomplete answer. It is not the full solution. It's not just if I have enough discipline, I'll be able to train. Because let's say, for example, you decide that you're going to start training over and over again. You're going to keep being disciplined, keep showing up to your training sessions. A lot of people will find that they spend months, 5 years, okay, 5 years is a lot, but like 5 months training on the same thing over and over again, but they actually make little to no progress within their training. You see, discipline is just to get you to show up to something that you don't enjoy. Calisthenics is all about pushing to new goals, pushing to new heights. To be able to do that, I need to be involved in the session. If I'm just showing up without enjoying the session, then that's just using discipline, but I'm not making progress. So what's the point of showing up to the session? So that is why a lot of athletes that take this thing seriously, that don't actually really enjoy the sport, they don't really make that much progress. And I can really vouch for that, because I was a tennis player before. I really took it seriously, I hated the sport, and I made no progress. But I was showing up every week. I was showing up each day, training, working on the same thing, but there was no joy in the training. If you are an athlete that is both motivated and disciplined, then you're at a little bit of a higher level, because even though you're not making much progress in your discipline kind of area or your discipline stage of training, you're still maintaining, you're still kind of keeping up with your training, you're not losing progress. And in the motivation stage is where you start to spike in progress. The discipline stage is where you start to maintain that progress, which is a decent balance, right? But can we do better than that? So we know that discipline doesn't really make us that much progress, and motivation is what really makes us progress, but it doesn't maintain itself. The reason motivation makes us that progress is because it's that high, that involvement in the session that really gets us to push ourselves. Discipline just gets us to show up to the session. So as you saw from the title, this is what I like to call the 5-minute rule or the 5-minute game. This will get you to not only show up to your sessions, but get you to actually be involved in your sessions, get you to actually train like you mean it. Now, a little disclosure, we're not working on anything for the first period of this 5-minute training arc, right? We're really just working on our minds. Our brains are very susceptible, very malleable to change. So we're really trying to make it or program this in to our heads. First up of this 5 minutes a day rule, we want to just spend 5 minutes training. We want to bring calisthenics into our lives. We don't want to make it seem like a big task, a big role, a big training system that we've got to get past. You can do totally fine with just 5 minutes. You're not going to make the most progress in the world, of course not, right? You've got a lot of things to train in calisthenics, but we really want to just make this so that it doesn't seem like anything big at all. This is just something that is something we do, right? I can do 5 minutes of handstands. I can train the handstand, work on something specific in 5 minutes, but also I'm going to be a lot more alert, a lot more enthusiastic about the training. Really, we're just trying to program a habit of 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes training a day. And you may feel like, oh, this is so simple, Shagan. Oh, I'm way above that. I'm at straddle planche. I don't really care, right? I did this at full planche. I put this in place at full planche to help me kind of stay consistent, to help me stay on task, and to help me get more out of my training, right? So if it works for me, it can work for anyone, right? Not saying that I'm the best at calisthenics, but like, this isn't to say, oh, my body can only take 5 minutes. I'm not trying to damage your egos. I'm just saying your brain can only take 5 minutes consistently over a long period of time. It hasn't been trained to the point that it can continuously work at these 2-hour intervals in terms of training when it doesn't have the motivation to do so. Rebecca, one of my students who was working really hard on our pull-ups, but she couldn't find the time to actually put in some handstand training. And she was kind of suffering from it within our kind of one-to-one sessions, because each session we would kind of be losing the amount of progress or the progress that we made just because of time being an issue. So what we did is we actually just put in this 5 minutes in place just to work on her kind of shoulder mobility against the wall, really just focusing on one thing in specific, really trying to drill that in. And each session she made more and more progress. Not only does this maintain your results, but this also progresses you very far, because in calisthenics it's very important the frequency of what you do. A lot of people are thinking, oh, this is like gym, I need to train, recover, and so on. It's not really like gym. Calisthenics, unfortunately, isn't really like gym. So even if you think, oh, 2 to 3 times a day or 2 to 3 times a week is the best way to train, it really isn't the best way to train. We really want to program this into our body. If I'm trying to learn Spanish, I'm not going to train 1 hour for once a week. Right, it's just, I'm gonna forget all of the shit that I've learned. If I want to do maybe 5 minutes each day, I'm gonna make so much more progress, because I remind my brain that this is important. Hand balancing, I need to remind my brain that this is important. I need to remind my brain how the sensation feels, all of the stuff that I've programmed. I'm not trying to lose that because I've done an hour session and next week I come around and do another hour session. This even includes planche and front lever. Now, it's not like I can just do 100% sessions every single day without rest. I've completely killed my nervous system. But if I was to do 60% each and every day, or I could do possibly 150% alternating, then I give my tendons enough time to rest. This absolutely isn't to say just keep training the 5 minutes a day, keep training the 5 minutes a day. You want to at least train this for maybe a period of 3 weeks, 2 weeks or so before you start increasing the number. You can go from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, right? What you can fit in that 10-minute period, what you can fit in that 15-minute period. That's all cool. Now we have a way to stay consistent. Now we have a way to kind of show up to the session. But what gets us to actually want to progress in the session? What gets us to actually want to do the session properly? Not just be there, say I'm here, and do some kind of weak kind of pushing motions or weak kind of pulling motions that don't make us any progress. That's where we need to turn our calisthenics sessions into a video game. And I know this probably spiked your curiosity. You're wondering, how do I turn my calisthenics progression into a video game? I'll answer that for you. The first stage is actually knowing what you're trying to reach for in the session. It's all cool having a goal for the month, right? That's very far away. It's motivating, sort of, but it's gonna be coming in a while. So why does this session matter? What's important about this session? What am I gonna achieve this session? What am I aiming for in this session? The way I ended up setting this up, is I set a 5-minute time that I needed to be holding the full planche in. And at first, because I had just come back from a big break, I had just not been doing anything and I'd gotten very fat, so I was very heavy. And what I ended up doing was I ended up doing this 5 seconds of full planche within 3 attempts. That became 2 attempts. That became 1 attempt. So I was aiming for getting that 5 seconds in 1 attempt. Now I'm going for 10 seconds. That became 3 attempts. That became 2 attempts. That became 1 attempt. Now it's 15 seconds. That became 3 attempts, and so on. But each session I had something that I was aiming for. Each session I had a target I was trying to reach. I was trying to hold as long as I could so that I could reach that 10 seconds in as few attempts as I could. And once I got that down to 2 or 1, I could then progress on to the next marker. I was doing the exact same with the planche presses. So I did my first planche press set. I only got 1 planche press. So it's 1 planche press down. Then I did the second one, another planche press down, third one, another planche press down. If I managed to get 2 planche presses in 1 set, that would take 2 down. So it would only have taken me 2 attempts to get 3 planche presses. However, if I can get all 3 of them down, then it takes 1 attempt, and I can look to further it. I can either look to further on the 2 attempts, or I can look to increase the kind of difficulty on the 3rd one. But these are solid goals that I know that I'm reaching for within the session. I know that I got this clear kind of amount within the past session. I want to try and beat that this session. You're not going to beat every session, of course not, but you need to have the ego to beat it every session. Beat it, beat it, beat it. Now we know how to start and how to actually keep kind of powering ourselves, to do well within the session that we're doing. But these monsters that we were talking about in the beginning of the episode, whether they decided to do this consciously or this was unconscious, this is the way that they keep stimulating themselves. This is the way that they keep exciting themselves. They may not be doing 5-minute sessions, of course not. They may not even be timing their sessions, but they know their limits. They know how much they can kind of maintain. And most importantly, this isn't something that is very, very hard for them. This is something that they enjoy. Most people think that wanting something badly enough is enough, but that doesn't get you to show up to the sessions consistently. That's motivation. What is actually the hard part about training is building out a system, building out a whole entire structure that allows you to keep showing up to the sessions. Not only just showing up, but showing up with passion. This is exactly what I help people do. Not just build strength skills, but build a training system that actually helps you stick to your training long term with enjoyment and passion. So if you want help with your training system skills, then just click the link in the description and fill out the form. Go ahead and check out the mental game of calisthenics. There's another video that I put out on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the description so you can just quickly and easy jump to that. That's going to teach you how to actually self-motivate, how to actually reprogram your brain properly in order to actually enjoy the sport, in order to actually really enjoy the game that you're going to be now playing.